let's talk about simulation theory. So, do we live in a simulation or not? Is this real? Is this what we experience? Is it real or not? How do we know whether something is real, or how do we know whether something is fake? The philosopher in Swedish, the Swedish philosopher and the person who came up with the simulation theory is a person named Nick Bostrom. Nick Bostrom, like I said, is a Swedish, and he was also the author of a very good book called Superintelligence. So, Nick Bostrom was the person who came up with the simulation theory, and in there he had 3 possible solutions. Let's go one by one. So the first one that he says that has a probability close to 1 is that civilizations usually kill themselves before they get to the point where they have the technology to be able to create simulations. Number 2, when civilizations, if they survive, what usually happens is that they lose interest when they get to that point. And not because they lose interest because they get bored or because it's not interesting per se, but they lose interest in a way that it's super hard, or they don't have their resources, or they don't want to invest certain money, or in there they lose interest. And the third one, which is very interesting, is that if we didn't kill ourselves, number 1, and we actually got to the point where we didn't get bored and we actually did it, we probably live in a simulation right now. We're probably living in a simulation right now. And those are 3 of the trilemma, or the 3 possibilities that Nick Bostrom lays out. And I think it's very interesting to ask certain questions, not because we live in a simulation or not, because if we do, I think what we do or how we would behave would not matter. I think if we do live in a dream, if we do live in per se the Matrix, a lot of people might want to actually take the red pill per se, and then go to the real world. And if that happens, sure, I mean, that's what we should probably worry about. But if it's not true, if it's actually true, if we live in a simulation, I think we should still be doing the thing. I think we should still be nice to each other, and I think we still should to have a good world, regardless of a simulation or not. And the other thing that is interesting to think about is that if we do live in a simulation, the engineering aspect of it, how can we create a simulation per se? How can we do something like that? From the engineering, science, and like technology point of view, how can we create a simulation is very interesting. How can we make things that look real when they are not, or when they are not necessarily real? So how can we convince our brain, if there's such a thing, to think that this is real, that a chair is real, that a shirt is real, that a finger is real? Where do we draw the line between something that is real and something that is not? And there was a thought experiment by I think it's Nextsuck or something. A thought experiment by a philosopher, and then he talked about that in the future. Imagine that in the future there's a very crazy scientist, neuroscientist, and he was able to create a machine that can give you any emotion that you want to feel. Any emotion or any experience, anything that you want to feel. If you want to feel love, you will feel love. If you want to feel happiness, you can feel happiness. You can feel whatever you want to feel in the machine. And then the importance of that thought experiment is that how do we get people to be involved and to be into, like, why would people go to the normal realities when they could go to their normal life at any time? And when I think about it, I think about social media, because if you are the CEO or the founder of a company like Facebook or Instagram, you want to, or YouTube or any social media, you want people to be addicted per se, and because you make money by ads, or you make money because you want to have people on your platform. I think it's something that any business wants to do, is that you want to have people seeing you. They want people to see what you're doing. And for social media per se, you want to have people in your platform, in your thing, to make money or to whatever, or to achieve any goal that you want to achieve. So with that thought experiment, is that why would people go to the normal life? Because if we get to a point where the simulation theories reveal, a lot of people might not want to take the red pill and might not want to go through the actual world per se, the real world, instead of what we're living right now. So for example, let's say I'm a YouTuber, I'm making videos, but I'm actually, everything that I am is a dream. It's fake, it's a simulation. But what if they give me the possibility to wake up one day and they tell me, hey, you're not a YouTuber, you're not an author, you're not an entrepreneur, you're actually a worker, I don't know, like you're actually a farmer in Brazil. Would I really want to give up and take that leap to go to be a farmer in Brazil? I think no, because you have your personality, your values, everything that you consider real, that you consider that are yours. Just a thought experiment. I don't. There's people that say that we might realize that the simulation theory is actually real, and then we actually live in a simulation now. I don't know. I think, again, like I said at the beginning, I think we should, even if we do live in a simulation, we should still try to make the world better and make everyone have a better life. If that is true. But if it isn't, if we're able to go to the actual reality, I think that's where it gets interesting, and then that's where I would probably like to, whatever, just go to the real thing. But yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting thing to think about and to realize. There's a book that kind of talk about how, not necessarily about simulation, but about what a virtual reality would look like. And it's kind of like we kind of created our own simulation, like our own civilization created its own simulation by creating a simulation, but actually having like VR, like a virtual reality simulation where people can just plug in and go to the fake world per se. And then what they realized in the book is that, what the book is kind of about, is that the real world became completely messed up and now very technological, but the virtual world became very technological and people only wanted to be there. So the book is called Snow Crash by Neal Stephenson. Great book. It combines a lot of science fiction, but also a lot of truth and a lot of, per se, non-fiction, like a lot of knowledge and a lot of things that are true. But yeah, that's all I want to say today. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe and like this video, and always have thought experiments. Even if you think they're wrong, it's a lot more interesting, that question, than the answer itself. And the simulation question is one of those answers. Thank you so much.